Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Well, Donald Trump has brought together 74 million people to vote for him. And what did they want? They all wanted something that they thought Trump could give them, and that is prosperity. To make America great again, it wasn't just going back to the Constitution, because the Constitution has been there for a long time. What they wanted was a sense of prosperity, because when they looked at Donald Trump, all of his Trump supporters, whether you're part of that or not, wanted him, they saw him as being somebody who could help them become great again, meaning prosperous, meaning prosperity, money. They watched The Apprentice, and they said, that man knows business. He knows how to make America great. He can use the same principles that he understood as a businessman, and he's going to do the same thing, and he's going to whip the government into shape. Well, I'm the head of a nonprofit organization, but I also am working to start a small business. And basically, I know that Donald Trump is never going to make me prosperous. I have to be responsible for my own prosperity. I can't rely on him. As president, even Obama and anybody else who's in the presidency, they can only function on a big overview idea. They're not going to make me prosperous. What it is the backbone of any economy is small business. I worked as a dental hygienist for a long time. I made somebody else rich. Everything that I brought in, I only got a certain percentage of that, and then I made the dentist wealthy. When you're working for somebody else, you're making that person wealthy, and they should be, because they're the ones that are bearing the responsibility. They're the ones that are set the whole thing up before you even got on the scene. They were working on their project. That was their business. But you are making, if you are going to be part of this sense of prosperity, what are the principles of becoming prosperous? And that's what I want to work on today. I'm on Social Security now. I'm retired. I'm on Social Security, and it's not enough. Being on Social Security is not enough. So let's kind of like clump all the people who are on Social Security, the baby boomers, the people who are older than this. How are we going to create our life? We play a pretty major role in this too. So, excuse me a minute. I'm going to turn on my heater. It's kind of chilly in here today. Good idea. I'm sorry for the noise, but it's the winter time here. It's February, and it's cold in my storage unit. I have a storage unit, and my storage unit is a warehouse. It was at one time, it was built, I think, in the 1940s or 1950s, and it used to be a truck repair place. It has a big door on it, and it has a little door for people to walk through, so I could actually come in here and repair trucks. It's like I would say you could, if it was like a garage, it would be like a 4-car garage. Okay, so it was a storage unit. My family rented this building for a long time, and then when I got to the point where my job I'd been squeezed out of my job when my baby was born. My daughter was born. And living in a small town, there were no other places for me to get my go to work. So anyway, I started to fall back on my books that I had channeled. I'm a psychic. I had channeled a book, and I thought I could could switch from dental hygiene, and it took a long time for that to happen. And that's why the organization, the first thing is the professional publishing team. Bringing the professional publishing team, I channeled a manual for peace in 1999, May of 1999, and then a manual for the One World Government in December of 1999. So now it is 2021, and I'm still trying to get my books published. And the reason for that is that 1 million people had to be in the right time and place and frame of mind for my books to go forward. So I've been kind of trying to figure out how to create a sense of prosperity. But like I said, what I did then as a person on Social Security or a homeless person, what do you do right now when the pandemic, in this case it's the pandemic, has squished, people are living in cars, they have no jobs, the jobs are not there. What do you do at this point in time? It's weird when the people on Social Security actually have more sense of stability in their life than the working people. So I'm going to pull together all the people right now who are on Social Security, and it's not enough. The people who don't have jobs and are living in cars, used to have good jobs. I used to have a good paying job. I could get just about anything I wanted, within reason. A working person, I could buy things if I wanted. If I wanted a new computer, I could go buy a new computer. I could take a trip if I wanted to. I could do things like that. I had the freedom to be able to do that. But then when I got squeezed out of my job, and I know many people are in the same situation right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what it takes to create a sense of prosperity in your life. Okay, at the prayer circle, went back in the early 90s, I started the prayer circle. And at the prayer circle, the first thing they did was they said to us, Archangel Michael, we started to get our gifts. Archangel Michael said to us, God gives every person on the planet the life that they want on a silver platter. And everything you need, everything you want is right here on this silver platter. How much of it are you going to accept? How much are you going to accept? And the first thing everybody thought was, why would I not accept the full 100%? Why would I not do that? Okay, so then it became, we were looking at each other, this is kind of like a no-brainer kind of thing. Of course we'd accept 100%, but then how do you do it? How do you do it? That's where it became the problem, is how do you do it? When you're homeless and you've been squeezed out of your house and your job and you're living in your car, I was living in a tent for a long time with my daughter. I know what it's like to be in that situation. And that's when you started to think, okay, God, how do you do it? In fact, there were older ladies in our prayer circle who were in the same situation, and they died because they couldn't figure out how to do it. We didn't know how to do it yet. So then, after that point in time, we had to start to learn how to do it. Okay, now, I'm not wealthy. I'm still waiting for my books to get published, and that's the thing, is that when people are trying to stop it from happening, these people had to be in the right time and place and frame of mind. 1 million people had to be in the right time and place and frame of mind for my books to go forward. And that's what we're waiting for now on the plan for world peace. The world leaders know what's going on, and the authoritarians are taking over the world, and Putin and Xi Jinping are thinking that we're going to start an international government, but it's going to be us in charge of it, and things like that. So now, what it is it's gone back to the people. And we have to create a sense of prosperity, because Donald Trump isn't going to give it to us. No matter how many terms in office you give him, he's never going to give it to us. No government is going to do it. They can only come up with big programs. And hey, I have a nonprofit organization and I have a business, and I know the difference between that. Nonprofits, a government is a nonprofit organization basically, and they're designed to solve problems for people just like any nonprofit. But a business is run for profit. And now, we have to understand the difference between that and that when we look at Donald Trump. And we have to understand that our prosperity is on our own shoulders. Now, how do we do it? The world peace marketing strategy is something that I've been talking about a lot. And that has to do with the first step of it is the faith of the pure ray. Now, if for the people who are interested in making a financial foundation, this is the point where you look at this. Now, I'm going to say, if you're standing on the principles, if you're brought into the flower of life pattern, you start up here. If you're brought into a project, but most people are right in the second row right now because of the pandemic. So now, the thing that they taught us is that, okay, you have it. God is offering to you everything you want on the silver platter. But to get it, the silver platter is sitting on a table. And the table is, in the Bible, they talk about the banquet table. And that is, let's say Noah was on the ark, and the rainbow was the promise from God. That was the promise. Now, a rainbow is a symbol of hope, but it's also, not only that, it's a symbol of the planning process. If you know the root cause of the problem with the planning process, you can solve the problem. You can find the solution. But then Archangel Michael told us that the difference between heaven and hell is that in heaven there's a solution to your problem. So if you're in hell and you're getting revenge on people, the last wall of hell is revenge. You're getting revenge and you're fighting like the people, his Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol. We're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore, and you're the ones who are causing all the problems, and we don't like you, and we're going to kill you, we're going to hang you, and that is hell. That is hell. That's revenge. And God said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You don't get revenge on people. Now, what the difference is that the first principle of a global renaissance, let's say you want to be part of this global renaissance, a renewal, a rebirth, the global renaissance, the first principle comes from God, and that is your talents and gifts. You have to base what you're doing on talents and gifts. It's not on Amazon. Amazon is not going to make you wealthy, because how many other people are selling toothpicks, hand sanitizer? You know what I mean? You can go on there and find something, but it's not necessarily going to make you wealthy. Even that is because it's not based on your talents and gifts. It's what God gave you to accept what's on the silver platter. Okay, so if you're on, I'm going to talk multidimensional for a minute and spirituality. If you're on the third dimension is called the illusion. And basically it's where you believe you can get your life by depending on Donald Trump, by depending on Amazon, by depending on everything that is third dimensional. It's like dog eat dog idea. You're going to start a third dimensional business, which is window washing or dental hygiene. You can make money doing that, but it's not enough to really allow you to grow and to be satisfied and to create your life, to accept what's on the 100%. Okay, so when I talked about the 100%, I was a dental hygienist. I was making good money at that point in time. Okay, now what happens next is that you have to figure out how to find out what your talents and gifts are. Now, the spiritual hierarchy asked me, after that prayer circle ended, the next prayer circle is supposed to be finding out what your talents and gifts are and bringing together people who have the same interests as you. That is what I was supposed to create a long time ago, and I couldn't get anybody to pray with me because they had their jobs, they were depending on Trump, they were depending on Amazon, they had other interests to go on. So my talents and gifts, or how about getting revenge on me, saying we don't want the plan for world peace, we want war. That's the attitude that I've been dealing with, is a bunch of people who are third dimensional and loving it, because I can outsmart you, I can outdo you, I can make your life hell, and I'm going to steal everything you got. Stealing is a very low place in our evolution. People who rely on stealing, I suppose it's one thing if you have a problem with, you can't feed something, you might be able to forgive that, but making that your living, hey, that is not what God intended for you, because in the 10 Commandments say, thou shalt not steal. So let's just kind of like clump all the lessons that we learned, or anybody learns from their religion, organized religion, and say, okay, that has been set up. Those are the rules. We get our talents and gifts from God. We get our inalienable rights from God, the creator of us all. Not the old man on the throne. That's third dimensional stuff. The God, the creator of us all, the father, mother of us. I am that I am, and Lady Gaia. Our parents, our creator parents. Okay? They would like to see us prosper, just like we would like to see our own children prosper and get their life. Okay, only on a much higher level. Okay, because they have the capacity to help us when parents can't always do that. Okay, so we have all the things that we have been kind of like taught, and the things that organized religion can handle. But now we're going to go to the faith of the pure ray. On here, the first step. So the first principle of a global renaissance is using your talents and gifts. And that is where Donald Trump doesn't tell you talents and gifts. Motley Fool doesn't tell you your talents and gifts. What all the other things, as Amazon, they don't tell you your talents and gifts. Your talents and gifts come from God. Now, think about this with equality for just a minute. If world peace includes every person on the planet, a global renaissance includes every person on the planet, is it because you have a computer? Is it because you have a job? No, because the people don't have jobs wouldn't be able to create their life. How about the people who live in little stick huts in the Sudan? How about anybody should be able to create the life that they want, except that 100% from God on that silver platter. And it doesn't matter who they are. God includes everybody. Our creator created everybody, not just that. So we're always going to look at, is Donald Trump the one because he's going to make America great again? America prosperous and everybody else stay out? America first. Hey, that's third dimension. Okay, God is based on equality, liberty, freedom, capacity, compassion, abundance, capacity, and tolerance. So if it doesn't include everybody on the planet, it's not coming from God. If it's my religion is more important than yours, it's not coming from God. Okay, now that's where we go next. Okay, that's the faith of the pure ray. Because God went to each of the avatars, the spiritual teachers from each of those 7 major religions, and taught one step and one stage of the planning process, the principles associated with that. So it's like a computer game. Now we're going to go on a computer game. Like when I was first starting out, it was Commander Keen. It was so cool. You go and you get the first key and then the second one, and you build yourself up, and the person who wins is the one who gets all the keys and gets to that top level and makes it all the way through every step. So that's where you are. Is your Commander Keen now. You're going to get every key from each of the religions, and that's where we are with the faith of the pure ray. Okay, so now you have to know what your talents and gifts are from God, and that's where the psychics come in, the channels, the people who channel God. You have to understand discernment. Now I'm going to tell you what discernment is. When you listen to somebody, discernment is understanding. Listen. If Donald Trump is telling you, America first, and everybody else stay out, we don't want you, we're going to put a Muslim ban on, that's not coming from God. God is the creator parents of us all, and stands on those 7 principles of universal law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. To get the life you want, you have to help other people get the life they want. If you're saying, me first, and you're the first one, and then everybody's going to consider you last. So think about organized religion from the standpoint of it taught us, it got us to a certain point, it introduces those certain principles. But now it's a time to organize all the religions into a school, and you're going to go armed with your talents and gifts from God, whatever they are, and you're going to go to school. Okay, you can create anything you want. Well, you have a blueprint in your heart for the life that you want, and now you're going to take that and you're going to start to apply that in your own life. You've always had this blueprint in your life that said, I don't like that, I don't like this, I like this, but I don't like this, and I'm going to go this way or this way because I'm not going to get revenge. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. The 10 commandments, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. In other words, thou shalt not judge somebody, thou shalt not put somebody down, thou shalt not say, we're going to hang Mike Pence. That's not God. That's not God speaking. That's Trump speaking. Okay? So now you're going to use discernment, and you're going to listen to what people are saying, and you're going to say, I like that, I don't like that. This is, okay, so you're on a continuum of frequency, and the things that you like, you'll go towards those, and the things that you don't like, you go that way. But you use discernment. If Trump is telling you, storm the Capitol, because we're going to make America great, and we're going to get those whatever expletives out, that's not God. That's not coming from God. Because what happens is that the government is actually functioning in a certain place along the continuum also. We're all someplace along the continuum of frequency, and revenge is low, and peace and prosperity for everybody is very high. Okay, so now we're going to start understanding these principles, and we're going to start making it possible to create the life we want. The third dimension is like the banquet table parable in the Bible, where all the dogs are fighting for crumbs off the banquet table. So let's say you have the life you want on that silver platter. It's sitting on the 5th dimension, where you know you can create the life you want. You start out as dogs under the banquet table fighting for those crumbs. We're going to say, I'm going to start a Amazon business, and I'm going to undercut everybody else, and then I'm going to make a lot of money. And it doesn't work because everybody, the tax or gas wars, they used to call those, with gas stations, and then they came up with all the different evolutions from past that. Now we're going to go we're fighting for crumbs to the point where we believe we can get our lives, but we can't get it by fighting for crumbs. And then when we start, it's going to be based on our talents and gifts. We start developing our talents and gifts. We start basing our careers, our lives on our talents and gifts, and then we can create anything we want. And then someplace along that banquet table is our silver platter. That's how you find your silver platter. That's how you do it. I've been working on this for over 20 years now, since I channeled a manual for peace, a manual for the one world government, and I'm still working on getting my books published. I had to wait until 1 million people were in the right time and place and frame of mind. My talent, my project is based on my talents and gifts. Every aspect of my project is based on my talents and gifts. Nobody else can do it. I'm creating something that nobody else has done before. This is not a window washing job. This is not a dental hygiene job. This is not a Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or a Tim Cook job. This is not a Warren Buffett job. This is my talents and gifts. I'm not saying they're not basing their project on their talents and gifts, but because they've been doing pretty well when you stop and think of it. They've created a sense of prosperity for themselves based on being computer programmers or people who know how to be part of that, understanding technology and what to invest in and things like that. That's kind of a gift too. But don't, if it's not your talents and gifts, don't function based outside of your capacity. Like I said, Donald Trump was a businessman with no prior government experience, and he was trying to run a nonprofit organization like a business. He was functioning outside of his capacity, and that's why he failed. That's why he didn't get reelected. Because those of us who know nonprofit organizations and businesses, we know you can't run one like the other. In fact, the Southern District of New York said the same thing about him. They said you can't run your nonprofit like a business. You cannot take money from that and transfer it over to this because it's against the law to do that. That's why he kept getting into trouble all the time. Why he's got lawsuits against him all the time. So if you're functioning based on your talents and gifts, and you're doing what benefits everybody, you have a job that benefits everyone. And then you go along this world peace marketing strategy second row, and you start understanding all of the principles associated with this. Okay, so that's where we are now. That's where I am, and that's where you are. And I'm supposed to start this prayer circle to help people do that, and I'll share that with you as we get it started. But right now, the people are being overwhelmed. They're not in the right place, time and place and frame of mind for that to go forward. They're being overwhelmed, kind of like the people at the first part of the prayer circle. You can create anything you want as long as you don't prevent somebody else from doing that. And the people who are trying to steal the organization, can you imagine that? People who are functioning outside of their capacity are going to try and teach you to function from within your own capacity. How about the people who are waging war to steal a plan for world peace? They're not standing on those principles. So use discernment. Always use discernment when you listen to what people say. No matter whether it's I'm going to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge idea, I'm going to ask you to storm the Capitol, use discernment. Okay, there's false prophets out there too, and you have to understand about the false prophets. The warning about the false prophets. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk about now. I wanted this to be kind of like today is Sunday and it's my sermon day. Okay, so I ask you to like, share, and subscribe. Especially share with the people right now who are having a hard time with their businesses. We want the first principle of the global renaissance is that everybody has to function from their capacity, and for everybody to be part of that, they have to understand that it's their talents and gifts. And even people living in little stick huts have talents and gifts given to them by the Creator of us all. So if everybody is welcome to be part of this idea, that's discernment. That is understanding that it came from God and it's coming from God, and it's not Donald Trump saying I'm the person that God sent to make America great again. Hey, no. Okay, so like, share, and subscribe, especially with the people who need to hear this, my sermon.